Pomegranate. A new flavor for me here at Real Tough Candy headquarters. Why am I staring at the microphone like it's an animate object? Developers, can you hear me? Can you see me? TGIF. Am I getting that crispy vocal sound into your ear? How's it going? Oh, there's a lot to talk about today. Today's topic, kind of pushing it. Candy sells out. We're talking about the benefits of a 9 to 5. Now, to be totally transparent, I gave up the 9 to 5 grind. However, I still think there are some really good benefits to having a 9 to 5, 40, but let's be honest, you're on a salary, so it's going to be like a 50-hour-a-week type of environment. There are definitely a lot of benefits when we compare that to starting a business, doing side hustles, and all this. So I'm really looking forward to the feedback in today's live chat. As usual, it's always pretty active there. Let me get my thingy set up and hopefully you can see me and hear me. Also today, we are giving away a 3-month subscription to one of my favorite learning platforms, educative.io. Shout out to Brandon and the team over at Educative. They hooked me up. Also, they also gave me a special 10% off for anything. So later on, I will have one of the mods pop that in case you're interested in getting some discount action. But we'll probably do that later on in this stream, because today I'm really more focused on these benefits of a 9 to 5, because let's be honest, it's not the 50s anymore or the 60s where we had all these types of benefits. However, there are still some. We're going to talk about those in just a moment. Let's check in. We'll do a roll call. What's up, Eddie? Listen, developers, Eddie is the first guy to comment on the stream. Listen, Eddie just sponsored me on GitHub. There is a sponsors button. This button does not get a lot of love. Not a lot of people know it exists. However, if you enjoy the stuff that we're producing on Real Tough Candy's GitHub page, we have JavaScript interview questions, real world JavaScript interview questions. I have a bash script for Git, your Git workflow, project ideas for web developers, different, just various projects. Check out that sponsors link. Eddie sponsored me for an entire freaking year, and he has a YouTube channel. So big time shout out to Eddie. And Eddie, if you're still watching this, I would love to have you on the channel to talk with you about open source. You're really passionate about it, and you're really just motivated to share your knowledge with the rest of the peeps. And I would love to have you on the channel after we launch the realtoughcandy.io platform, which is dropping on the 24th, August 24th, people. We have had people sign up for this platform. It's not even live yet. I don't know how these people, I don't know how they're even signing up, but it's happening. You can't access courses. You can't do anything there. Even Dr. Candace, I saw, signed up last week. So shout out to Candace too. Here's what we're dropping. Okay, this is what we're offering on realtoughcandy.io. The purpose of the platform is to help you level up, land a job, get a raise, no BS, real world, practical, actionable steps. We are dropping 5 courses. They're not going to be available anywhere else. How to get a job in web development, freelance newbie for starting your freelance career, professional communication for junior developers, because a lot of us, it's hard to get into the groove of professional communication when you're by yourself learning this stuff. So we're going to give you a few scenarios, and you're going to be asked to, these are challenging courses too. You're not going to be, this is not like a Netflix style type platform. There's a lot of challenges. What else? UX UI for web developers and portfolio surgery. Oh yeah. Plus we have for members only a royalty-free video and photo library that you can use for any type of project. You got to read the license, but if you're a member, you can use it for just about anything except reselling it. And I'm offering, this is not part of the membership program. It's a separate thing, but if you're a member, you will have the opportunity to have a one-on-one with me, 90 minutes, where we will go one-on-one and go through your portfolio with a fine tooth comb. Somebody mentioned on the channel the other month, they're like, I've never even seen a fine tooth comb. I think I've seen one in the 90s, but what are they, those black goody combs you see at like really like dirty convenience stores, like at the checkout? They have the Butterfingers, they have the Powerades, and then like the fine tooth combs. It's just a very random assortment. But anyways, circling back, shout out to my guy, Eddie. Who else is here? Dr. Candace, we have some RTC members here. Randy Miller, Dr. Candace, what is up? Janos, Wolfie Master, Arik Paradoodly Do, our mod extraordinaire. Jeffrey Gums, what's up? Dana and Jags. Mohammed, Eddie, again. Donovan, Devendra, hello, hello. Eddie says, yay, let's do it. Collab. Heck yeah. Like I said, after, yeah, I'll hit you up. I'll DM you. I think you're in our Discord, right? I think you are. I'll DM you, and would love to have you on the channel. All right, developers, I'm too hyped for everything going on. Just so many great things going on at RTC headquarters. It's the Fish Fry Friday, so let's talk about it. 9-to-5 jobs get a real bad rap, and a lot of times for a good reason. Many employers out there are taking advantage of employees, not in the ways you would expect, like extreme ways, almost to the point of like transforming them into developer sweatshops, it seems. And even outside of the tech realm, this is an exclusive to the developer world. But you know, you hear those, you see the ticker tape on the TV, or like just hear about it in passing on social or whatever, like, oh, people are wearing diapers at Amazon because they won't let them take extended potty breaks. Like, that's pretty inhumane. That's not cool. No way. And sometimes you see these employers in the software industry who, we haven't gotten to the diaper extreme yet, but some of these employers are really greedy. And you have to, of course, watch out. There are some red flags you need to be aware of. Not all companies have your best interest at heart. Many would probably argue that most companies don't have your best interest at heart. But if you go in with a certain mindset, you're going to come out ahead. This is the number one thing. Let's just get right into it. The number one thing, and I'm a business owner. I've started off freelancing. I did the side hustle thing, and now I own a business with employees. I've worked for people the majority of my life. So I've seen all different flavors and different ways of making money. So now that I'm here in this place, here is my perspective of the benefit of a 9-to-5. You don't have to worry where your paycheck is coming from. If you do your job, if you do what is asked of you, every 2 weeks, at least that's usually our pay cycle here in the States, every 2 weeks you are getting paid. You don't have to worry about it. When you own a business or when you're freelancing, on the front burner is always this anxiety. Maybe just be a little poke of anxiety. It may just be a gentle burn, but that is your primary goal, is to find opportunities to make money. When you clock in, you're not clocking in at a dev job, okay? But you know what I mean. When you get to work, there is a list of things for you to do. Even as a manager, somebody higher up said, here is what I want you to do. It couldn't be easier. You don't have to think about what's best for the company, what the company wants, what the company needs. They're saying, here's what we need. Now we need you as a software developer to implement that. That's a pretty good way to get a check every 2 weeks and not worry about where it's coming from. Whereas when you're freelancing, when you're owning a business, this is the primary concern of where are you going to get that client? Uh-oh, the client's angry. What am I going to do? How am I going to expand my client base? How am I going to upsell to my clients without them thinking I'm a sleazy used car saleswoman? How do I do these things? You don't have to think about that stuff. And that's such a relief as an employee. As a business owner, is the typical small business owner. Now, if you're working for Google, the big fangs, probably a little different, but small business owners are always working. Even when they're on vacation, they have their phone on them and they're waiting for that call from the client or call from an employee saying the server's down or whatever. As a 9-to-5er, the severity of those calls, they're minuscule in comparison to what a business owner is dealing with their responsibilities. So there's a lot of pressure. It's just less stress. even these high stress dev jobs, you may be stressed out, but there's always someone higher up the chain who's even more stressed out because there's more pressure. The more money you make, the more pressure that's on you. And if you're making 150K at your dev job, the owner's making $1 million or more. That's just how it works. So there's a lot of pressure on that person, on that person high up in the food chain to really make things happen. And as a 9-to-5 employee, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And it's awesome. Small business owners are working 80, 90 hours a week, sometimes even more. As an employee, maybe 60 is like, whoa, dude, I put in a lot of hours this week. And that is a lot. But if you're doing 40 to 50 hours a week and you're getting paid every 2 weeks, that's a pretty good benefit of being a 9-to-5 employee. Also, is Chiquito here? You got to give a shout out to Chiquito. He's constantly giving the kombucha drops. Pomegranate power, Chiquito. It's spot on. It's pretty good. It's not my favorite, I have to say, but pomegranate's really good for you. It's nice and tart. And I'm feeling a little tart today, developers. I'm feeling motivated. So that's big benefit number 1. Big benefit number 2. Benefits. Here in the States, health insurance premiums are kind of ridiculous. So maybe the benefit of like health insurance isn't a good one to make an example of. All the jobs I've worked for, or all the companies I've worked for, even professional level, their health package, their health benefits. At my enterprise job, the owner couldn't find, well, this is what he said anyway. Take it with a grain of salt. He said he couldn't find a insurance plan that was affordable and suitable for his employees. So we just got a stipend for finding health insurance. Or if you wanted to use that for beer money or, I don't know, grocery money or whatever, you could do that too. Healthy eating. Sub out your $100 premium for dental, $100 premium for this, $300 premium for that, plus these plans and the deductibles and stuff. And I'm not going to get too nitty gritty into it. So what I'm saying is it's a long-winded way of saying that the health benefits, not really strong on that. I'm not really strong on that, but there are other benefits that you get as a 9-to-5 that you don't get as a business owner, as a freelancer, as a side hustler, such as, now, we've all seen the job descriptions where you get those bullet point benefits, right? Free laptop to bring home, free snacks, free lunch. Those are some pretty, those add up. Those add up, and it's better than paying for lunch. It's better than buying a laptop that it's tax deductible, but that money's coming out of your pocket. It's better to get one from the company. All these things do add up. And then you have a little dollar amount that is considered a benefit. And benefits translate into, how do I say this? Every benefit has a financial value. So on top of your salary, you're getting this list of stuff that has a financial value. As a side hustler, as a freelancer, as a business owner, that's coming out of your pocket. So I can gripe about healthcare benefits and how most of them, I mean, they're pretty terrible. Like, you're paying $250 a month or whatever for this plan, and then you land in the hospital and your hospital bill's $15,000 and $7,500 of that is coming out of your pocket. I'd rather just pay cash. But anyways, they do have some benefit. And there's also, I think more importantly, perhaps, these intangible benefits like a social network, new connections, and you have the opportunity. This is the biggest benefit. You have the opportunity to take notes and observe and listen to and really see how a functional business works. I knew when I went in to the 9-to-5, I wasn't going to stay there. It was never my dream to be a 20-year employee of the software industry. I wanted to run my own business. I wanted to do things myself, my way. But I knew if I just started it right out of the gate, I was going to be like my first year in freelancing where people disrespected me. I didn't have the business skills, and I didn't see how it was really happening in the real world. And if that's your goal, if that's your dream, even if you know you want to be a business owner, I would recommend, if you can't be an employee of a software development business, try and shadow them or try and be an intern or something, just to see how those parts work and also to see how they don't work. Because at my job in enterprise, it was really dysfunctional. And I took notes of that too. That to me was worth more than a paycheck. That to me, I mean, it's worth more than $1 million to me, because I saw firsthand, I was in the battlefield of the software development industry. This had been a company that has been around since the 80s. This company's been around since those big square glasses that people wear still, and like big clunky keyboards, Apple IIs. This company's 40 some years old. Well, 35 plus years old. Like, it's a huge education. And whether you want to be a lifetime employee, business owner, a side hustler, whatever, take notes of what that company is doing. Because also too, if you want to stay in the 9-to-5 grind at your next company, you're going to be aware of what's functional and what's not functional, and you're going to be able to see those red flags. And if you just act oblivious at your 9-to-5 job and just like, just cleaning up some jQuery, if you're not cognizant of the interpersonal interactions, or why, if you're not cognizant of the motivations of the higher ups, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because that's an education too. And in this field, we're constantly learning. We cannot be left behind in especially web development. And that's mostly what we focus on this channel, but we talk about other software opportunities as well. Let's go to the comments. Let me hear some people. I know there are some people in the chat right now who are at 9-to-5s, and I'm curious about your experiences. I don't know if I want to get any more specific than that. I mean, what's been some prompts? Let me think of some prompts. What's been the best benefit to you as a 9-to-5er? And what's the biggest takeaway, do you think? I don't know. And anything else you want to add? Let's go to the comments. And some more people joining the stream. What's up, Dennis? Greetings from Ecuador. Code 0. Pardeep. Cortar Leva. Hello, Main Street Studio is at it. Rebecca, what's up? We have some more people joining. Okay. Eric, hey. Eric Barfield, hi. And Eric Beneath. Awesome. So Eddie says, so many enterprises are dysfunctional. In fact, most. We all learn what not to do at enterprise places. Eddie, it's crazy. It's crazy. There was so much dysfunction. I wrote a book about it. It's like, I was shocked. I said, this owner, I mean, it was such an education. You couldn't have paid $1 million. You had to be there. It was absolutely priceless to get this type of education. This guy had a fleet. So this was the owner, right? It was a small business. It was less than 10 employees. This owner had a fleet of vehicles for his own personal use. He would roll up stunting in a, current year Corvette, completely modded out, like all the upgrades. I mean, it was a $150,000 car by the time he got all the upgrades, tricked out. I mean, it was just like, this guy was stunting on his wealth. And I was just like, with all this stuff that doesn't work at this company, with all these clients that are very angry, with a client that told the developer team directly, if it wasn't for this terrible contract, I would have been gone long ago, with the client who was calling every day for a year because something was always broken. With all of that, I was shocked to see This guy with 7 or 8 figure status. I couldn't believe it. I can't believe it. Like, is that the norm? And I'm talking to these other developers, as I'm in this industry, as I'm in enterprise, after I got out of enterprise, they're like, yeah, it is. I was just like, wow. And he is still getting paid. That's why it's just like, I try my I give it 110%, but I cannot give myself a heart attack over trying to be a perfectionist in my own business. Because if the bar is like down here, I want to be like up here, but not like whoop way up there, because the benefits are marginal and I'll give myself I'll have a stroke. But Eddie, yeah, it's crazy. Paradoodly do, our mod extraordinaire says, I think the problem with 9 to 5 is that there's the implication that your work is uniform and hourly. That isn't the case. And some tasks are worth far more than others. That's a great point. That's a great point. So let's just like throw in the example. Let's say you're getting paid 90,000 a year. How do you measure the exact dollar value of an hour spent refactoring jQuery versus an hour spent rewriting a PHP app into a Node app versus an hour spent in a meeting where you were drawing googly eyes and funny cartoon faces? Some tasks are worth more than others, and they also bleed over multiple days, months, and sometimes even a year or more if it's a bigger project. That's an interesting comment, Parajulie Do. Thanks for chiming in. I got a comment from Ian up here. What's up? The Bayless Code, one of our patrons. Thank you so much. Patrons also, holy crap, I forgot to give a shout out to my patrons. You guys are awesome. And I've been a little, I've been slacking on sending you guys that DM, but I can't give you an exact date, but it's coming before August 24th, hopefully soon. Your email will give you the heads up. Ian Bayless, the Bayless Code says 9 to 5 can help you get the skills to run your own business in that field. Exactly. So I think, if you don't, this is the thing, like, I'm a big proponent of realism. So if you hate working 9 to 5s, you don't have to stay there 20 years. But if you love it, or you at least like it, my dad told me something. This guy is my role model. I look up to him for business advice, like everything. He's helped me so much in my life. He looked at me, and he is a big time business guy. He looked at me and he said, RTC, it all gets old no matter what you do. It all gets old. He adjusted his glasses, looked over his glasses, and said, it all gets old. There is a difference between feeling blasé and feeling like, oh, I'm going to work, and saying, oh my gosh, I cannot work another day. I'm going to absolutely flip. Like, there is a difference between just going through the motions, which it happens to everyone in every field, whether you own your business or not. There are some days where I'm just like, you know what? I'm taking the day off. I don't feel like doing it. And I can do that. That's the benefit of owning a business. You have a lot of responsibilities, but because the way I built my business, it's very flexible. But there are days where I'm just not feeling it. Doesn't mean I'm going to quit the entire industry. Doesn't mean I'm going to quit my business. If you're having some blasé days, it doesn't mean you quit the 9 to 5. But if you hate it, like year after year, month after month, then that should be a signal. That should be an indicator. Like, maybe I could check out something else. So I'm a proponent of that. Exploring your options and seeing what really clicks with you. Maybe the 9 to 5, you just don't like it because your company stinks. That's a good possibility. Maybe try out a digital agency. If you don't like the big, working for a corporation, I think, would really turn me off to ever working a 9 to 5 job in the software industry. Working for like a FANG, I don't like feeling like a number. And even though you are on a team and you probably have that camaraderie, it's just like, man, it's like a construction worker at the Viking Stadium or something, or the whatever sports stadium. Like, you put your blood, sweat, and tears into building this new stadium. Nobody thinks about that. Nobody thinks, wow, they're going to a football game, Vikings versus whoever. The halftime, they have to go to the restroom, they flush a toilet, they wash their hands. No one's thinking, wow, thank God for the plumbers. They're ordering their 7th beer for $14. Like, some people don't mind that. I would have a problem. I like being acknowledged for jobs that I do, and I like having that signature. Call me a precious artist living in an attic, but I like the recognition, and I like the tight-knit nature of smaller groups. So yeah, let's go back to, hey, Peter Fisher. Is this the Peter Fisher with the YouTube channel? There are a lot of YouTubers here in the chat. That's awesome. Also, let me take this time right now. If you guys missed it last week, we talked with Gwen Faraday from Faraday Academy. She has an awesome YouTube channel, a really great instructor. She's also on Free Code Camp. She does live streams on FCC, which their channel is massive right now. It has like over 1 million subscribers. It's been over 1 million subscribers for some time. But check that video out if you're interested in another side of Vue, because on this channel, normally, I really don't spend a lot of time on it because I'm focused more on connecting people with the most amount of jobs, and Vue really isn't up there. I mean, there are more and more jobs, but if you want a different perspective, check out that video. That's why I like having guests, because this isn't the Real Tough Candy monologue channel. I don't want it to be that. I like different perspectives, even if I don't, we can have a dialogue here. Even if it's not something I'm particularly fanatic about. Other people's interest in it gets me excited too. Oh my gosh, Chiquito's here. Chiquito says, Kombucha, no, you look younger. Mama's looking good. What's up, Chiquito? Chiquito has been offline for some time. I know he was having his computer just turned into just a self-implosion. I don't know what the heck happened, but he's back. Chiquito, thank you so much. I was just talking about you at the beginning of the stream. Pomegranate Power, thanks to you, my friend. Chiquito's been subscribed to this channel for like 3 years. More than that. It's crazy. He is a VIP. A lot of people, Donovan, Candace, a lot of people in the chat. Tech Rally! What's up? What's up? Another YouTuber. Guys, check out these guys' channels. So Tech Rally has a YouTube channel, and these are all software developers. Peter Fisher, he has a lot of PHP videos. He does other stuff too, but PHP is how I discovered him. Tech Rally talks about the industry and various things going on there. And Eddie is talking a lot about open source. But let's get back to this topic. I'm so glad Chiquito's here. Let's see. The Bayless Code says, my first couple 9-to-5s were terrible. I dreaded going to them. My last few jobs have been wonderful. My current manager is very much into work-life balance. Yeah, that's another thing too, is that it's not, there's that component of the greedy boss wanting to squeeze as much work out of you as possible. But a lot of it too is like the self-perpetuating culture of like, you're not a real developer unless you're working 100 hours a week. Where's your passion? Like, I'm sorry. And I know this is going against a lot of what other people say, but I don't believe I followed my passions for a lot of years and nothing paid off for me. I followed something I had a medium interest in, and it took off. There are people in the industry who think, oh, you're not passionate. What are you doing in my web development career? What are you doing in my software developer? I'm here to make money and make something out of my life. What are you doing here? It's okay to only want to work 40 or 50 hours a week. Now, again, if you're on salary, it's expected. You're probably going to bust that 40-hour mark. That's okay. It's when you start getting to the 60 and 70 hours every week where you're like, okay, something's wrong here. But between 40 and 50 hours, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a 9-to-5. As long as you do the work, who cares? And another thing that and this is another thing that turned me off, not just in the software industry, but in the career fields I've been in many years previous to software. uh I mean, just this interpersonal relationship stuff, professional communication stuff, or shall I say lack of professional communication. Man, I mean, just the daily drama of managers playing favorites, when you think you're the one, when you're not the one being invited to meetings, when you're the odd one out, when there is an unfairness going on in the workplace. That's something that really turns me off to working for anyone who practices, or any manager that practices that type of behavior, or a manager who isn't doing anything. That really triggers me. Because you can't tell me you're getting paid double just to watch me to make sure I'm doing my work. I'm capable, and I've proven it. So yeah, I mean, like, again, just because there are benefits to 9 to 5 jobs doesn't mean they're perfect. All jobs are imperfect. But going back to what we were talking about, a 9 to 5, just your gear, as long as you do the work. Now, this is theoretically, as long as you do the work, as long as you do what they say, you're gonna get paid every 2 weeks. Most businesses do not survive. Look at after the 10-year mark, most businesses, the majority, and I think even after the 5-year mark, only 50% of businesses in America are surviving. If you're starting a business, I just gotta be honest here, your chances of success in the long term are not in your favor statistically. They're not in my favor statistically. And that's a big risk going in to starting your own business, because greater than 50% of businesses fail within 10 years in America. Google it. Within the first year, I think it's like 10 or 20%? I mean, that's not a small amount in America. Small businesses go under. And if you have a family, you have people you're taking care of, that's a big risk. If you're single, if you've got, your future is just wide open, then yeah, you can take on that risk a lot easier and a lot more just nonchalantly. Not nonchalantly, but you know what I mean. But if you have responsibilities, and that's going back to like the benefits packages, yes, they've really gone down in quality. But if you have a family member who has special needs, or has a traumatic accident or something serious where they have to be in the hospital, yeah, the copay sucks, but it's better than being uninsured. And it sure beats having monthly spaghetti feeds in the Lutheran church basement trying to pay for a surgery. When I was in the military, I had multiple people tell me, and even out of the military, these comprehensive medical packages, if it wasn't for the medical, they wouldn't be in the field. Listen to this. I was at Starbucks the other day. Oh yeah, I'm basic like that. But I was at Starbucks, and this girl, bright, bubbly, talented, gets it done. She's hustling. She said the only reason she works there is because their health package rocks. Their health benefits are just off the charts. I had no idea. Health benefits at a 9 to 5 can be worth more than your actual paycheck if you have a recurring illness, or something that needs recurring attention, or maybe just a one-time thing where it's a terrible accident or something. That can be worth more than a paycheck. So that is a benefit. And again, I don't want to candy coat it, even though that's my name. Tee hee hee. I don't want to go over the edge with that, because I've never found a medical benefits package that suited me, that was actually, it's easier for me to just pay cash because I'm relatively healthy. There's going to be a day where I will need de facto medical insurance. But that, to me, like, whenever that's sold as a benefit, I'm just like, yeah, can I opt out? Just give me the cash. But I mean, it really depends on your family situation and your health needs. So yeah, let's go back to these comments. If you're just joining us, developers, first of all, welcome. Second of all, we have a great lineup in the live stream chat today. So many awesome people, lots of old schoolers, and welcome new subscribers. Today, we're talking about the benefits. Are there benefits to a 9 to 5? There are. There are. Even someone who is now independent, 100% independent, there are a lot of things I simply couldn't have got anywhere else. It had to be a 9 to 5, and I had that was just such an education. But let's check out the comments here. Let me take a swig of this. Let's see. Shout out to Sean for the $2 super chat. It just says the. Hey, I'm all right with that. Thank you, Sean, for that. Dr. Candace, how's it going? Dr. Candace. So 2 years, was it 2 years ago already? It was almost, or was it a year and a half ago? I think it was a year and a half ago. Candace was on the channel. We played this game called Netopoly. It was from the 90s. And instead of like Park Place or like Baltic Avenue, you could buy like NewYorkTimes.com and like Friendster.com or whatever. I know I've been talking about it for a year. We've been talking about a rematch for over a year. But I have to have you on for the rematch, and I'd love to interview you just about your dev journey, because your story is so inspiring. So let's see what Dr. Candace has to say. I heard about the gaming industry, worked with developers so much, especially during the crunch time and a high turnover rate. Are there any game developers on here? Yes, agreed. Listen, I want to hear from some game devs too, because the horror stories I hear are very horrible. They're not just your standard horror. It's like horror plus of the crunch time, putting in 100 hours a week. And I did a live stream. Not a live stream, but I did a video last year about Red Dead Redemption 2, about their crunch time. And it just seems like a slaughterhouse. It's like, I mean, you really are treated terribly. And this is how I see it. Whoops, I'm getting too Twitter-pated here. I'm flipping mics and everything. So I used to be in the music industry. Don't get too excited. It wasn't exciting as it sounds. The way the game industry treats game devs, from my perspective, is the same way the music industry treats or treated its musicians and its talent. They're just there to pump out the hits. They're just numbers. Give me a hit, give me a hit, give me a hit. They're just these transactional middlemen that are standing in the way of another hit. And they will extract as much value and as much energy from these game developers as possible. Now, is that the case in every development company? Of course not. I'm sure there's some really good ones. But some of the stories are absolutely terrible. Yeah, that crunch time thing, when I read that, and it wasn't just like the 100-hour, like you must work 100 hours. It was like people sleeping under their desks. It was people not showering for a week. And it's just like, because, and that's the parallel between music industry and the game development industry, is that so many people want to be game developers that they'll tolerate the abuse, just like in the music industry. Now, the music industry is totally transformed, but let's go back to like the early 2000s. When being pre-Napster, so maybe like mid-90s, being on a major label was like the end goal and the end game for so many bands, musicians, solo artists, even producers. Getting on a major label was like the zenith. And people were so desperate to have any sort of recognition, be 6 degrees apart from Prince. Like, yes, I poured coffee for the second producer who removed a vocal track on Prince's outtake. Like, that would be something a person will put on a resume. Like, people are so desperate to be a part of it. And it's the same thing I see with game development, is that it's the new hot thing. Everybody wants to be in it. So that way, it's an excuse for the movers and shakers to say, oh, I can replace you just like that, right? You're going to work 100 hours this week. Oh, you want to quit? Not everyone gets to work at Blizzard. Not everyone gets to work at whoever produced World of Warcraft. Blizzard, right? Whatever. I don't even know. I used to be pretty hip. Activision. I used to be hip to all those studios, but I'm not a PC gamer much at all, actually. The last game I played on an actual computer was What's that snake game online? Slitherio or Slither.io. That's the last one I played. But golly, there's just so much exploitation. And it does happen in software development too. And this is what I'm afraid of, that the 9 to 5 in software development will get to that point, especially because of Aunt Rona and people seeking out alternative education platforms. This is my prediction that we're going to see even bigger flooding of the junior dev market. We already have a lot of junior developers looking for work. So there is competition there, but I think we're going to see more. And I'm hoping what's going on in the game industry, or what we are being told about the game industry, is not happening to our industry, because that would make me sad. Amit Gupta with the 100, is that 100 rupees super chat? Thank you for that. Very kind of you. Candace says 2 years ago. That's right. Man, time flies. We played Netopoly 2 years ago. My Christmas tree was still up and everything. Holy smokes. Paradoodly do dropping the super chat. Thanks, Paradoodly. Paradoodly is an excellent mod here on the Discord, or here on the live chat and on our Discord, which, Paradoodly, if you have a moment, pop that Discord in. I played shows for bulk peanuts and 8-ounce hams. Yup. You probably got paid less than what you just super chatted me for some of those gigs, Paradoodly do. I'm not trying to be facetious. That's how the music industry does its people. Like, it's ridiculous. I appreciate that super chat. Thanks, Para. Peter Fisher says, I'm a contractor / freelancer. Aunt Rona has been tough. Lots of lost work. Not sure what it's like over there, over across the pond. Yeah, I think from what I've seen, now this is from what I've seen and from whom I've talked to, it's a mixed bag. People are still hiring. But I don't know anyone who is like, I don't know anyone personally, and I know people have lost their jobs in this industry due to the Rona. Excuse me. But I mean, a lot of people in the chat, even not a lot, so let me quantify a lot, like 3 people over the past couple of months since this whole thing started have said, I'm busier than I've ever been. And I can raise my hand and say that too. It's a really interesting thing. It's to say the least. There's such a segmentation, I feel like, of industries that have been affected. Some people are making money hand over fist right now. Other people are wondering when that second round of stimulus is going to go through so they can pay their rent. So there's just like a multitude of realities in the States. And for our industry, like I said, I don't know anyone personally who has been laid off due to the Rona, but I know they are out there, because I've seen like spreadsheets and stuff of people wanting to find job opportunities because they've lost their job. But I know, the Fangs are still interviewing. I interviewed a guy a couple months ago, a Twitter engineer, and I asked him, I don't know if it was on the actual video, if that got cut out, or if it was offline or whatever. But I asked him, are you guys still hiring? He said, yeah, absolutely. We're hiring all the time. So, yeah, it's anecdotal, but that's the best I got. Tech Rally says, Tech Rally with the super chat. Thanks, Tech Rally. Tech Rally says 9 to 5 is great because paycheck is steady. But being your own boss must be nice. Had a rough week at work, which involved endless, nonstop meetings. Hi again, by the way. Hi. Yeah, this is just, listen, I know that starting a business has its risk, and it was, after a certain point, it was a risk I wanted to take. And listen to this. The absolute worst case scenario, this is what I said. Okay, I don't want to do a 9 to 5, and I hope to God to never go back. And I can't definitively say, well, I'll never go back. I mean, anything can happen. I'm not going to refuse a paycheck. I don't ever want to go back to a 9 to 5. And it is awesome being my own boss. But when I made that transition and when I pivoted to entrepreneurship, there's a whole new set of responsibilities, stressors, and needs when you call the shots. Because instead, like going back to where we first started with the chat, instead of a higher up bringing you a piece of paper and or pointing to a screen and saying, we need this, 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 and this, or calling a meeting saying, okay, can I have this by next week? And you write down, yeah, I can get to work on that. I don't have meetings with myself. I don't sit down and talk to myself in a mirror and be like, well, what do you think, RTC? Do you think you should rewrite that PHP backend with Node? What do you think? What do you think about refactoring that ES5? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I'm constantly strategizing. I don't sit down for an hour. It's just like a constant thing, and I never really detach from work, because as a growing business, you can't. I'm not in a partnership. This is a one person business, and I'm calling the shots. So there are a lot of stressors. And I will say that is one of the biggest benefits of a 9 to 5, is that there are different sets of stressors as a salaried employee. But I know a lot of people, and also too, a lot of people, statistically speaking, the majority of people have no interest in starting their own business. Now, some people want to, a lot more people want to try that side hustle thing, maybe get a few extra dollars, some grocery money, some beer money every week or whatever. But that is another sector of work. Owning a business and running a business where you have employees versus doing like a sole proprietorship freelance type thing. They do have similarities, but they also have a lot of differences. Because as a side hustler, you still have that main source of income, which is usually a 9 to 5, and that can be relied upon. But no doubt, I mean, 9 to 5s are super stressful too. When I started my job, I know for people who are new to the channel, it was a senior position and I was brand new to the industry. So I was very stressed out. The stuff I had to do was advanced work, and a lot of the days I would just go home and be like, I have never gotten so many pizza coupons in my inbox. To this day, I'm still unsubscribing. I'm like, dude, Domino's, Pizza Hut, I don't even like pizza. Unsubscribe. But I love eating great food, and I love cooking, and I love just the meals preparation. I love that stuff. But when I was working enterprise, I would get home, I couldn't even make myself a sandwich. I had so many coupons for pizza that I signed up for. I'm like, oh, Domino's has a 2-for-1. Yeah, sign me up. Ugh. And now I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, that really took a lot of energy. And so there is, it's not inherent in a 9 to 5, because as Ian mentioned, the Bayless Code, he was saying, some jobs he worked at were really bad. The place that the place he's at now is pretty cool. And I think a lot of most of it comes down to the people you work with, the communication of the organization, and just the company culture. I think that's the majority of it. Because a company culture is not just, okay, guys, we're all going to have lunch together, hold hands. It's not just like team building, but it's what's expected of you at the job. That's a big part of the culture. How often managers are coming to check in? What's the trust factor? Do the higher ups trust you to work on your own after you've proven to them that you can work on your own? Because some people, a lot of people need that handhold, and there's no shame in that. You're new. But if you're the type to be like, I wonder what's going on Facebook. No one's looking. Let me just check. If you're doing that 20 times in an hour, you need some education. You need some management. But if you've proven to your managers that you're capable of doing that, there's no reason for them to come around every hour. Unless they're just trying to be nice and be like, hey, RTC, you doing okay? You need some help? No, I'm good. Okay. That's culture, company culture. It's something that I don't think it's talked about enough. That's most, in my opinion, of what makes a 9 to 5 pleasant versus miserable. What, how do you say this? What level of BS is allowed at meetings? Like, can you talk to what is the policy of talking to the owner of the company? Some owners have an open door policy where you just like, knock, knock. Hey, Mr. Fred, got a minute? I'd like to talk to you. Some company owners that are small businesses, even the company owner never wants to talk to its employees, or his or her employees, and that's a company culture thing. There isn't a good one or bad one. Like, I don't know, some businesses I wouldn't want to meet the owner, and other businesses I'd be like, yeah, this company's rad, I want to meet the owner. But that company culture thing really plays a lot, and that's Not to take away from the 9 to 5 topic, but that is in contrast to owning a business where I set the tone. I set the culture. When I give out an assignment, I have standards. When I, need something done by this date, that means it's got to be done by this date. Other companies are more lenient with that stuff. And other companies play favorites. So it is a company culture thing, and company culture is everything, in my opinion. Candace with the $10 super chat, bada bing. Dr. Candace says, if I don't have any big projects in October, sure, you can interview me. Yes. Woo! Where's my megaphone? Ladies and gentlemen, Candace Leach is coming onto the channel. If she doesn't have any big projects in October. I would love that. Oh man, September and October is going to be a great month for interviews. We're gonna have Eddie on. We're gonna have Candace. Yes, awesome. What's up? For Alexia says, I'm a junior developer with mostly backend experience. Thinking about getting into front-end web dev or just diving deeper into backend AI ML. What do I recommend? That is a little bit off topic. However, come to our Discord. There are a lot of people with experience and good advice there. I would recommend that. I also do consultations. If you're interested in setting one up, you can check out my calendar, realtoughcandy.com. But that's kind of a big question. Average Joe says more like Stack Overflow 20 times an hour. Devender says most companies block access to Facebook and Twitter. And I think that's fair. Unless you work for Facebook and you're testing like the user experience, unless you're working for Twitter and you're testing the user experience, I don't know. Also, but at the same time, it says a lot about the trust factor. When companies completely, it's like a kiddie filter at school. Like, oh, you won't let me go to this, I don't know, like hacking site or something to learn more about ethical hacking. Like, you don't even know me. Like, so having these filters on when they don't even know the employee is just like an employee-wide thing. It's like, okay, so you don't trust me? That's how I interpret that. Now, I know a lot of people won't even think twice about it, like, okay, I can't go on Facebook, can't go on Twitter. But to me, as an employee, that puts a bad taste in my mouth because I am trustworthy. I'm not going to be on, I don't even use that freaking site. Why are you going to block something I don't even use? You don't like to give the impression, and that's another company culture thing too. Your first impressions. Those are a result of the culture that was created at that company. To give me the first impression that you don't trust me. So you're going to put all these sites on a list that I cannot access. It turns me off. It tells me you don't trust me and you don't even know me. So that's just me. Danielle Bloom, how's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. I like it when managers go around and ask if they can do anything for you, because sometimes asking questions can be intimidating. And when they invite questions, it just makes it easier. That's a great point. As developers, especially as new developers, we should, I stress this, always be asking questions. You're the FNG, the freaking new guy, the freaking new gal. Don't be afraid to ask those questions, but also too, there are those scenarios where you're like, ugh, I wish someone would just come up and ask me. I'm about to ask this question. I don't want to. And then a manager goes, I'm like, hey, RTC, it looks like you have a question. It's like, how did you know? When they do that, exactly. And it shows, it illustrates a manager who cares. If your manager didn't care, they wouldn't ask. If your manager wanted you to fail, they wouldn't ask. If your manager is completely hands-off, they've got other stuff to do and you're not a priority as a new hire. That to me, it's getting to the point of a red flag, but not quite. A hands-off manager in this industry when you're new, I don't think is a good sign. Fortunately, when I was in enterprise, I asked a lot of questions. I also had a really nice senior developer who was very friendly and very nice to me. Very just, yeah, it makes such a big difference when you get along with people in your company. It's a lot of times it's not the work that gets you down, it's the people you work with. You don't have to be best friends, but when someone you work with is just inappropriate, and that's another thing, just like these clashes, inappropriate work behavior, developers. It's insane. Who raised these people? That's all I got. Dana and Jax, happy Pizza Fish Fry Friday. Thanks for what you do, Dana. Thanks for the support. Dana and Jax is also, she's on our Discord. She's an RTC channel member, and she just dropped the Wendy's parrot. Amazing. Thanks, Dana. I appreciate that super chat. Peter Fisher says, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Peter, for coming onto the channel, onto the chat today. It's well past my bedtime here in the UK, and I must head off. I hope to catch you again soon. Take care. Big respect. Thanks, Peter. Developers, check out Peter Fisher's channel. He's always uploading videos, not just PHP. But if you're interested in PHP, check out his channel too. Thanks, Peter. Have a good night. Have a good weekend. Eddie says, so true. That's why Scrum Masters do so well. I always build teams with them and not project managers. Scrum Master supports the team where project manager beats the team. Yeah, I'd like to talk more. That might be a good video topic. What is Scrum and some of these development methodologies, Agile and Waterfall and all this stuff. Some companies have no idea what that is. So it's just, and let's be honest, some companies don't need to have these things. Early on in my career, I had these like very rigid ideas of what developers should be doing and what companies should be doing, what they should not be doing. So I was at this interview and we were talking about PHP. And mind you, I'm a new developer. I hadn't ever worked. I was doing freelancing. I've been doing freelancing for over a year by that time. But as far as interacting with developers at a job, like at a 9 to 5, completely new. So I was at this interview and the company, one of the tech leads was, because I had interviews with more than one person, it was like a round table. It wasn't as stressful as you might think. Like I was stressed, but I was more concerned about getting the job than just like panicking. So I think like my 5 kombuchas afterward probably helped me out to de-stress. But anyways, so they said they were working, they had a PHP backend, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, is it PHP 7? Because that was like the new hot thing. PHP 8 is coming out very shortly, by the way, developers. It's very exciting. I don't know exactly when it's dropping. November, is it? Or am I totally wrong with that? But they said, no, we're not on PHP 7, we're on 5. And I was just like, my inner me, just like my jaw dropped and said, oh, scandal, this company sucks. Like I had these such rigid ideas of what a company should look like and shouldn't look like. But PHP 5, it's all relative. The problems are all relative. Like if you have clients calling you and complaining every day, it may have to do with outdated PHP. It may not. And there are different things that take priority at a company. Not everything is going to be 100% optimized. Not every company is going to benefit with a Scrum Master, with a project manager. Every company needs a project manager. Blanket statement, I said it. Every company needs a project manager or someone acting in the best interest of the people and the project so that you can all get paid. Let's go to these comments. Noor Ahmed, welcome, says, hi, sometimes I feel that Scrum and the likes are destroying our skills. We need to run and provide solutions quickly without focusing on quality. That's an interesting comment. We need to run and provide solutions quickly without focusing on quality. I hear that. That statement resonates with me. That said, I've also worked on projects where that was the mentality, and 3 years later, the quality wasn't there. And so what happens year after year when you're not maintaining these projects and you're not updating these projects is that they become a little bit slower, little bit slower, little bit slower. And it's so incremental and it's so granular that from day to day, you don't see it as a developer. But after 3 years, your web app, 4 years, 5 years, your web app's going to come to a grinding halt because there's always some other priority. Like refactoring is hardly ever a priority at a company. The only time you're going to see these higher ups at a lot of these places say, holy crap, drop everything, refactor, rewrite, is when the app comes to a grinding halt. That is one of the critiques I have with a lot of software development businesses, is that the people at the top don't understand development. They don't need to. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. You don't have to understand electricity in order to use it. You don't have to understand jQuery in order for people to use it. You don't have to understand React in order for people to use it. You have to understand, all you have to understand is that they can use it. You can use it, they can build it, and then other people can use it. And yeah, I'm just digging myself in a hole with that. What I'm saying is, as a business owner, you don't have to know the ins and outs. You just have to make sure these people are doing their job. So when a developer says to a higher up, listen, this app is degrading. Next year, we're going to have some problems with it. 6 months down the line, we're going to have some serious problems. A lot of people in the higher position aren't going to listen because there are more pressing problems. In their mind, as a business owner, again, going back earlier to our conversation, their list of priorities are going to be different than a 9-to-5 employee's. Their list of priorities is going to start, number one, make money. How do we do that? Upsells, expanding our client base, contract renewals, developing new products for these upsells. Once you sell the $1 million app and build it and provide it and you get paid and the company gets paid, maintaining it isn't a priority anymore. It goes down a notch because the big thing happened. People got paid. That's the big thing. And so so going back to that person's statement in the chat, like, I not focusing on quality, I see that, I feel that, because developers sometimes become perfectionists. Even when they're prototyping, it's like, and this is something we talk about in UX UI for web developers. Developers, I cannot freaking wait for this platform. August 24th, realtoughcandy.io, okay? This is probably my favorite course I've produced. And this is something we talk about in the course, is that as developers, we tend to become perfectionists when the thing we need is rapid prototyping. Stop trying to aim for pixel perfection when you're designing something, because the project will never get done. Does that contradict everything I just said? Not necessarily, and actually not at all. Because there's a difference between a prototype and going public with your finished project, or at least version 1 of your project. Timelines in our minds, I think, as developers need to be, that's a skill that needs to be honed for every developer. Keeping in mind, like, always aiming for quality, but understanding too, we have these timelines. When we're designing something to show a potential client, it doesn't have to be pixel perfect. It has to express the idea. Yeah, it has to look nice. But as far as everything, like, oh, well, this prototype isn't working on Opera Mini, like, you can worry about that later. Prioritization is a big thing in this industry. I think I'm kind of getting off topic with that, but just something I had to get off my chest. Devendra says, I'd love to see your upcoming course reviews. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay you. I'm off for now. We'll definitely join you in your vids and live chats. Awesome. Well, thanks, Devendra. Thanks for coming in. Chiquito says, you are not going to believe it. I was able to log into the Discord with this laptop and the link that Paradoodly-Doo left. You're right, Chiquito. I don't believe it. Chiquito's back. Woo! Developers, what's up? It is 5:20. Joining us, we're talking about the benefits of 9 to 5 job. I tell YouTube that this is cool. Please hit it just like that. Thank ya. Dan says, my manager explicitly told me to never focus on quality because company is losing money by doing so. Bug fixing customer maintenance. Interesting. Dan says, he also says above, Dan 1 says, I have seen many companies that completely remove the role of project manager and architect. Needless to say, that the project was chaotic and never finished on time. Exactly. Listen, I am talking about this comment exactly. I have had this happen to me. I have seen, I'm going to read the comment again because I have seen many companies that have completely removed the role of project manager and architect. Needless to say that the projects were chaotic and never finished on time. That is exactly my experience as well. Because as developers, we develop, right? We're thinking about how to implement. We're implementers. We go like this. We go like this most days. Most of our day is going like this. Sometimes our day is like, yes. Sometimes rarely, sometimes more often, depending on how much on fuego you are with your coding that day. But not having someone to see the bigger picture and to be that liaison between projects getting done, your client, and the higher ups, getting rid of that role is just a disaster. That's exactly what happened to us. We had a project manager. The company owner thought it wasn't worth the investment. And what happened? You don't want to know what happened. Real Tough Software. It's my 4th #1 book on Amazon. Check it out. I talk all about the dysfunction. We did not have a project manager, and we had people, like I said, calling us every day. When you're hearing from a client every day, that same client every day, that's a very big red flag. That's not good. That's not good. And this is where business skills come in, because the owner of the company got these clients, and these are big enterprise clients, got them to sign long contracts, which included maintenance. So they signed the contract for the original project, and then they would be billed for maintenance hours, but they were required to hold on to that contract, and then pay more for when they needed maintenance. So that's why, the 7-figure boss was, I mean, there's so many things. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how this guy was just stunting so hard on like all of his possessions, all of his material possessions, and just a company, a Titanic. The company was a Titanic, and the band was playing as the Titanic was sinking. Not having a project manager that was the key to a lot of things. Now, having a project manager wouldn't have fixed everything, but not having one really, really made things worse. Let's see. Eddie says, automation is a must and so important. Takes a little time to set up, but saves so much time later on. Agreed. Yeah. And then that's a challenge too. Coming into a new job as a newbie and seeing these things and saying, okay, like, where is my place? How much is it okay if I give suggestions for improvement? Like, we're not using, I don't know, Selenium WebDriver. Is that something we could try using if we don't have a QA team? Like, how are we doing testing? How are we doing quality control? How are we doing QA? All that sort of stuff. How are we doing UX? Can we automate some of this stuff? Would you mind, would it be okay if the company paid for the suite of UX design tools, etc.? Getting into the company culture and seeing where that kind of dialogue is welcome, I think latching on to someone who's open to that, I think is important as a 9-to-5er. Finding someone in that organization that is forward thinking, because there are going to be employees there who don't want to change, even though you're seeing things with new eyes where you're motivated too. Burnout is real at a 9-to-5. There are going to be people there who don't want to change, who hate freaking new people. Like, oh, here comes RTC. It's the new hire. There are going to be people who don't want the pecking order disrupted or the status quo changed. But if you're coming in with a motivation to like really do your best, sometimes you gotta self-advocate. That's something we talk about in our other course, professional communication for junior developers. Self-advocacy is a huge thing when you're new, because the only person who really represents you at the end of the day is yourself. hopefully you can find someone on that team to latch on to as a mentor or as just someone who you talk to. But if that person isn't there, even if that person is there, the number one advocate for your success in that company is yourself. And that is a responsibility of any 9-to-5er. Noor says, I spend 1 to 3 hours every day to focus on the quality. Boss doesn't know how much it will benefit him in the long run. I don't get paid for extra hours. Eddie says it's his bedtime too. Okay, well, good, Eddie. You and Peter in the UK, we will catch up soon. I am excited to have you on the channel. Maybe Peter can come on the channel too. Just like, I'm just signing people up for live streams left and right in this chat. We got Candace, Eddie. I guess I just signed up Peter too. He's in bed, but tomorrow he'll watch us live stream and be like, oh, I guess she signed me up. Just kidding. Cool. Okay, have a good night, Eddie. We'll see you later. Thanks for the support on GitHub too. All right, developers, let's see these comments. Dan says, I have seen many colleagues, i.e. developers, whose most important goal was to be a project manager as soon as possible. They were great developers, but as project managers, they were terrible. Interesting. Yeah, and I mean, they're different skill sets for sure. I would love to have a project manager who knew everything about what I was doing, but I would much rather have a project manager who knew how to effectively communicate with the different stakeholders. They're number one. That's their attention to detail, deadline minded, good with communication. And I don't mean baffling, and to steal a phrase from W.C. Fields, I don't mean baffling the higher ups with BS. I mean actually communicating with them in a way that they understand and respect, communicating with the dev team in a way that they understand and respect, and communicating with clients in a way that they understand and respect, and other stakeholders. If it's a bigger company, like shareholders, other stakeholders, etc., investors, being able to go to those different teams and really be on their level to have an eye to eye, that's a huge skill. I mean, that's $1 million skill. And not to say developers can't do that, but it's not just like the smartest developer in the room is not going to be the greatest project manager necessarily. Yeah. Let's go to these comments. Let's see. Danielle says, yay, August 24th. Heck yeah. realtoughcandy.io. We have been working so hard on this platform, developers. I am so excited. Trek M says, I see the John Duckett PHP book just got pushed back again to November. You're killing me. Seriously? I've been waiting for that book for 3 years. Literally. I mean, it's a conspiracy. People ask me all the time, RTC, where can I learn PHP? And I just shake my head like this, and I give there's just not a lot of great places for it, and I do get it because it's not hip, it's not cool. Like, people want to ask me about JavaScript. Oh, I got boatloads. People want to ask me about React. Boatloads. HTML and CSS. Boatloads. PHP. Let's see. Dan I says 9 to 5 is very restrictive regarding what technology to use. One does not have any freedom to choose. Sometimes there are legacy systems that are terrible. Legacy systems, yes. Legacy tech, that's something I worked with. I was at an IBM affiliate, a lot of legacy stuff. We were on the AS400. It's just it's a whole different ballgame, especially trying to get open source stuff to work well with legacy. Very challenging. But my experience with what technology we used was actually pretty liberal in that sense. The dev team got to choose what we wanted to use. So that was cool. So we were talking about, my senior developer and I were talking about starting to use GraphQL, integrating GraphQL, integrating this thing called Cilius, which is an e-commerce framework for PHP no one's heard of. Yeah, I mean, that was a really exciting thing about that job, is that because the owner had no idea how web development worked, that meant we had to make the decisions. We didn't have a project manager, so they couldn't even give their input. The downside to that is that the previous developers also got to choose what technology they use. And so there wasn't a standard. So we had, oh my gosh, multitudes of front end frameworks, uh, just Angular, various versions of it, Angular JS, Angular, whatever, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know which one it was. Knockout, Vue. I think there was one more. But yeah, so my senior was a fanboy of Vue, so we started developing in Vue. Oh, and also, literally million line applications with no framework. That was fun because one of the previous developers didn't believe in frameworks. You weren't a real developer if you used frameworks. Only good developers know how to do it from scratch. Yep. That was fun. That was fun. So there wasn't that standard there, and that was a double-edged sword for sure, because when we got to choose a technology, it was really exciting. Like, heck yeah, I've heard a lot about GraphQL. Let's try it. We got that. It, like I said, it was very a liberal environment when it came to choosing. We had just the whole place, just the whole tech stack open to us. But again, we had a lot of, it was based on a legacy platform, so there were limitations. But we could make it work. If we pick something, we agreed we would try and make it work. But it all came down to really the timeline, because as we talked about during the stream at that place, there was a lot going on and the priorities change. Let's see in these comments. Candace says, hey, RTC, thank you for another great live stream. Heading out. See you next week. All right, Candace, sounds good. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it, and I cannot wait to have you on the channel one way or another. Hopefully October. Now, I want you to be flooded with work, obviously, because that's a good thing, but like not stressed out about it. But, I want you to have some work in October, but I also want you to not be busy so you can come on the channel and we can chat. Have a good one. Developers, on that note, it's 5:35 in the Central PM time. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today to kind of flip things upside down and talk about the benefits to a 9-to-5. Like I said, as my dad had told me, it all gets old. Everything gets old. 9-to-5s get old. Owning a business can sometimes get old. I love it, but some days I just don't want to. Freelancing can get old. It all is just, that ennui creeps in no matter what you do. And if you are looking for a consistent paycheck, you're looking to have work ready for you, ready to go, you're ready to expand your social network, and you would like to expand your knowledge of how this stuff really works in a real world scenario, get yourself to a 9-to-5. And if you like some benefits, even the mediocre ones, even the okay ones, they do add up. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream. We want to give a shout out to all of our contributors today: Sean, Amit, Paradoodly Dude, Tech Rally, Candace, and Dana and Jax for the super chat. You guys are so awesome. A lot of these subscribers have been here for 3+ years. I cannot believe it. Other people are newer, and I am so excited too for the new people who are here talking about development. I love talking about this stuff. I love this industry. I really enjoy it, no matter what. So on that note, I just had one of those things people call brain farts. I think I got another super chat here. Hold on. Let's see. I don't know what's going on, developers. If someone just dropped me a super chat, I want to give you a shout out, because I'm getting mixed signals here. Anyways, hit me up in the Discord. I'll be there August 24th, realtoughcandy.io drops. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, please do it. Other than that, I will see you soon. After August 24th, we're going to be doing a lot more pre-recorded videos on YouTube as well, talking about some fun topics. Shout out to Chiquito. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you in the RTC Discord. Peace out and live long and prosper. See you later.